Hi, my name is Franciria Moore with the Prosperity Agenda. Welcome to Coaching Up Close, our mini webinar series designed to work some quick tips into your busy schedule to help you improve your coaching skills. But first, let me introduce TPA. We are working to end persistent poverty, changing the way that we think about, build programs for, and coach families under financial stress. Coaching is, of course, a big part of our DNA, and we are working with organizations all over the country on their coaching programs. Before we jump in, if you're joining us live, we'll be having a question and answer session at the end of this webinar, so save your questions. And as a note, for the next few months, 2 months, April and May, we will be offering Coaching Up Close webinars bi-weekly on the first and third Wednesday of each month. And we will also be offering a coaching on call office hours on the second and fourth Wednesday of each month in order to provide deeper question and answer time and even do some collective brainstorming with other coaches from around the nation. Now let's get started. Today's session is about self-care as a coach. By a show of hands, or maybe just in a chat box, I'm interested in seeing how many of you have had experience in the recent past for working at home. How many of you have experience with working from home for your job? Just a raise of hands, show of hands, yes or no in the chat box. I see 7, 8 participants' hands are raised. 9, 10. I see some people in the chat box saying they're just now learning how to do it. Okay. Okay. Now, if you've recently just got into working from home, you've never done this before, maybe it has been a long time since you had the responsibility of working from your home exclusively, please take a moment, raise your hand, or send us a message in the chat box. We had about 10 folks who have worked at home before. Let's see how many people are new to the working at home altogether. All right, 2, 3. Anyone else? 4, 5. Okay, great. So it seems like several of us have about half and half. 50% of us have done work at home, and 50% of us, this is completely new territory for us. All across the human services field, the way that we are doing our work has changed. And for many of us, the type of work and the volume of work has also seen a change. Today, I would like to give you a few things to consider as you determine what ways are best to take care of yourself and who you can depend on and lean on during this transitional time in your professional career. In this Coaching Up Close, I will also be sharing a few tools via the Zoom. So please pay attention to your Zoom link in the chat box to make sure that you can download those resources. One of the resources that I'd like to share with you today is the Ready to Coach Today checklist. This is a tool that we use when we're going into coaching sessions to make sure that we've centered ourselves and that we've cleared our minds and we're clear about what this session should be focused on, and we've gotten ourselves and our environment ready to be a coach. I'll be sharing that in the chat box, but that again is a great tool that you can use to just as a checklist to make sure that you are where you need to be in order to start coaching. In establishing this new norm, if you will, of working from home or working in spaces where you're not in an office working around other people. I know for myself, I'm used to being able to, prior to this job, step over to an office and say, hey, how are you? I have this idea, I have this thought, I'd like to run it by someone, maybe walking by people, having a conversation in the break room, getting water at the water cooler. There's just something that comes out of having interactions with those that you work with. Those interactions, I'm sure for many of us, have changed in ways that we never expected over the last few weeks. And so what I would like to help you do today is think through how to identify those that are in your circle that could be of help for you right now as we're making that transition. In the chat box, I'm also going to be sharing a tool called Who's in My Family from the Family Centered Coaching toolkit. Who's in My Family is a tool that we use to help families identify who they can rely on and who depends on them for support. And so I'll be sharing that tool, as that may be something that will be helpful in the work that you're starting to do with your clients, especially during this global pandemic. Everyone seems to be, in a state of trying to figure out what's happening next. One of the best ways to think through what's happening next and kind of develop a plan is to know who you can rely on and who is in your circle and what resources are available to you. So today, as a coach, we're going to take our own medicine first, if you will. We're going to have a conversation or really discuss how to identify your support group at work. Okay, so the first thing I ask you to do is to think about who is a part of your core work team. If you have not already, maybe you should take some time and write down the names of those that are a part of your core work team. Who are your colleagues that you talk about cases with, that maybe you get information or referrals for resources from? Who is that core group of people that you work with at your job, in your profession? Making sure that you have a list of those people available to you so that you know right offhand who you can reach out to for what. Another question I would ask you to consider is who plays a role in the day-to-day operation of your work life? So who helps you with things logistically, policy-wise? Who are the decision makers if you need to decide, make a decision about doing something a little different than you normally would? Who can give you approval to make those changes? And who are the managers and decision makers that you should have on speed dial, if you will? I would also encourage you to make a list of those people. The next group of people I would ask for you to consider are who might you know that could be helpful as you're navigating this transition and working with clients. Is there anyone in your professional life that you can remember who has done this type of work before, who has worked with clients in an unconventional way, maybe only through telecommunication or web interactions? Who are the people who that have gone through something similar as far as distance work with clients? How can you ask them for advice? What resources can they offer? And then lastly, I'd ask you to consider who is missing from your circle. When you look across the page and you see all of the names that you've listed and the things that they can provide for you, what other resources, whether human or otherwise, might you need in order to be successful during this time? This is an activity that we encourage our families to do, asking them slightly different questions about their family, who they can rely on, who relies on them, etc. You'll see this information in the Who's in My Family worksheet that I'll share with you in the group chat soon. But we want to take this time to make sure that we're asking who's in my circle as a coach. Who can I lean on? Who can I rely on? Who can I vent to? Who can I ask for assistance? Who can I ask for resources when I don't know anything? One of the difficulties about working in a new environment, specifically when you're working from home, is feeling lost in this desert of like, what's going on? Things are changing so rapidly. So I think one of the best things that we can do as coaches is to be aware of what we need for ourselves in order to do our work, and then find those that can support that. Find a tribe, find a group of people that you can rely on that support and understand the transitions that you're going through. Self-care is a big, big, big necessity in the work that we do, because if we are worn out and we are not respecting boundaries in this new norm, it is very easy for us to become burned out or even cross some of those boundaries and begin to do a fixer type work. Remember, a coach's mindset is goal-driven, strengths-based, and participant-centered. With that being said, if we're not careful about how we take care of ourselves, it's much easier to move from a coach's mindset to a fixer mindset, focusing on the things that are important to us, getting the things that are important to us done, and really starting to neglect the needs and the wants and the desires of the participants that we're serving. One of the best ways to preserve a coaching mindset is to be mindful of your boundaries. Having healthy boundaries also allows you to have high self-esteem and high respect in this time right now, self-respect. It also recognizes and values the needs, values your needs and your professional limitations. We all know during this time, there are just certain things that we're not going to be able to do in the way that we used to do them. That doesn't mean that we can't do anything. That just means that what we are able to do has changed. Being honest about that in the conversations that you have with your participants is a great way to protect yourself and also to protect the client, and also to make sure that the client's needs, again, are front and center in your coaching session. If you are having struggles with doing this, this is a great time, if you can find the time in your schedule, to reach out to some of those people that you listed as a part of your core work team to do some practice conversations about how you can talk about the resources that are available to the participants that you serve at this time. Another way that coaching supports healthy boundaries is that it allows you to be an equal partner with the response and share responsibilities and power in the coaching conversation. So knowing who you can lean on, again, within your group and in your work team, so that they know, so that you know where I can get resources from, how can I think creatively about working with this client, where are the people that I can brainstorm with, where are the people that I can be strategic, do some strategic planning with around how to do this work now. That is so important as you go into relationships with participants, hoping to share responsibility and power with them. And then the last thing I would say about healthy boundaries as it relates to working in a different type of relationship with your clients is to separate your needs, thoughts, feelings, and desires from those of the participant, recognizing that as a coach, you must always respect the boundaries of a participant and that you should never arrive at a solution before a participant does. What that means is making sure that you are still asking powerful questions, that you are still asking permission, that you're still respecting the boundaries of the participant, that you respect the no's or the not right nows, or maybe even the lack of answering phone calls, recognizing that collectively as a nation and really as a world, we're in crisis mode. Everyone is trying to figure it out. And so that even more begs the point that it is important for you to know, as a provider, who are the people that you can rely on during this crisis? Who are the people who may have answers and be able to think through things with you as we are all collectively going through this transition? Please make sure that you're being patient with yourself. And please make sure that you're taking some time to, again, think through who you can rely on, where you can lean on for support, and what type of support you may actually need. That's also important as you're thinking through your list. What type of support might I need? And sometimes that support, many times that support is not going to look like anything you ever knew that you might even need at all. So I want you to take a few moments. We're not going to take a long time, but I want to give you a few moments to just take a moment and jot down the names of those that are in your core team, those that you rely on to give you direction about how to do your work. And then think about who might be missing, what are some resources, whether human or otherwise, that you might need in order to do your job better. And if you'd like to share, please feel free to share it in the chat box. But I just want to give you a few moments to think through your needs, who's in your circle for work, and how you can lean on those people during these times. So I'll just give you a few minutes to do that. All right. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for taking that moment and reflecting. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. Join us not next week, but the week after that. Join us from 2 Wednesdays from now or 1 Wednesday from now. I'll give you the exact date. Give me 1 second. Join us on April 15th for another Coaching Up Close, but feel free to join us next week for our Coaching on Call live question and answer time, where we're going to take some time and brainstorm and go deeper into question and answers that you may have, curiosities that you may have, doing some collective brainstorming together. It'll be 1 hour of time, same place. If you are not a part of our mailing list, I would encourage you to visit us at theprosperityagenda.org. That's theprosperityagenda.org, and sign up for our mailing list so that we can give you updates about webinars and other activities that are available for you to help support you in your coaching journey. If you are joining us live, please stay tuned for our live question and answer. And until the next time, please be safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.